All right, so the way I teach, the way I create lessons nowadays, and I've kind of built this process up over many years, is I just have my slide deck. That is my lesson. I have the starting slide, which is the dash. That's what I show the kids. That's a reminder to me as sort of my, like the title you would put in your notebook or something. It tells me the date. It tells me what homework is assigned. It tells me a little agenda of what I'm going to do. And then I make up some bell work to get the kids, doing something. So that's sort of my cover, my title card. It helps the kids, it helps me. And then I'll just put together the lesson below that. So for me, that's slides. Mostly there are slides for the kids. Sometimes I will insert things that are reminders to me. I tried to do the sort of, you can write little notes to yourself underneath slides. That never really works because I never look at them. And this is what I've sort of discovered as a teacher, working, planning things, is you need the thing you're going to reference, the thing you're going to use when you teach, has to be something that's quick, has to be something that's easily accessible. It can't be 10 other things. So I've tried this where I'm like, all right, I got my notebook, I got my lesson plan in there, I've got my handout, I've got this over here, I've got my this piece of paper I'm going to put under the element. It's like, and then I lose it by the second lesson and I can't teach anymore. So I keep everything digitally. So for this lesson, I will have some notes from the book. And so I have a way of, I have the PDF of the textbook, and I just cut out the pieces that I am going to reference. And I'll just throw them in a slide. And I can write on top of the slide. If I need to do a more in-depth sort of diagram or filling stuff out, I have a app that can just read the PDF, and I'll just show the whole PDF, so we can see the page number and stuff like that. And then I have inserted a couple different things. So I have some, some notes, some things that the kids are going to copy into their books. I have some animations of polygons being moved around, their angles changing, but there's some staying the same. I have that real world example, a picture of a bench, that the kids are going to calculate off of. So I try to bring in media as much as possible because I have this projector and an iPad and things I can generate. I try to make that a little more engaging by bringing in, animations or media or pictures, stuff like that. I mean, sometimes we'll see for this one, but sometimes the simplest thing, you have some boring lesson, you have some, all right, we got to find this pole vaulter is training and every month she gets 1 inch better, and it's like, oh, this lesson. So I'll just get a picture of a pole vaulter, and pole vaulting is awesome. And so you just get this cool picture, or maybe just show them some stupid video. It has nothing to do with the math, but it just grabs them, oh, this is what we're doing. And then you can get onto the actual computation, which literally has nothing to do with the pole vaulters. That's just the example we came up with. So, and then I will usually do an exit pass at the end, again, to check for understanding. Some days that works. It depends on the time. So that's the sort of slide deck lesson part. The other content that I will use, we have our textbook, which is sort of it's not even a textbook. It's like a workbook almost. So there's a couple things in there. The homework's in there, but just the activity in the beginning is in there. The actual work is going to be a handout that I created that has more of the things that I think are important. So like the homework in the textbook is, here's a hexagon, labeled a bunch of different angles, find the missing angle. I'm like, all right, we got that, but what about different shapes? What about a regular hexagon? What about 2 hexagons stuck together? So I've added some additional content into my handout, and that's going to be the classwork or the group work that we do after we're done with the book and before the exit pass. That's the main content that I'll be using. So the slides are my just sort of generic template. That's how I do all of my organization. So that's the easiest method for me. I know for many teachers, and I've trained people on kind of using these things, many teachers, it would take them 8 hours to make a week's worth of slides. But I've been doing it for so many years. It's something that is comfortable for me. It is faster for me to do that than to write into a book. It keeps things organized. And of course, you get the advantages of digital. You have, they're everywhere. They're backed up. I can never lose them. I could smash this iPad and use my phone AirPlay to my thing, and it would still work. I couldn't write on it, but it would work. So I always have a backup. And of course, you get animations. You get rich media. You get pictures. You get stuff you can actually show the kids. So that's the main thing. I always try to make some sort of handout or some sort of thing because I always end up not liking whatever the actual content is. Like, it's not right, or there's something that's just not precise about it, or it takes up too much room, or it's not enough room, or there's always something that I don't like. So I generally end up making either a half sheet or just a problem on the board. Like I taught summer school for many years, and we didn't have handouts. Couldn't make copies. It was just annoying. So I would just make the handout on the overhead, all right, copy it. And so it saved paper, and it was sort of exactly the thing that I wanted to teach. So that's kind of my process for doing all my lessons, and of course, including this one. The power that making content digitally gives you is essential. I feel like, and I've done this, I've taught I've taught on a chalkboard. Like my first year teaching, it was literally a chalkboard, and we had one of those transparency things. I don't know how I survived, but being able to teach using these digital tools, it makes it so much easier. I'm so much more organized. My calendar is digital. I can change it in a second. I can share it with my co-teacher. I can post my slides to my website so the kids can get notes if they're absent. I don't have to give them a book or photocopy something. I remember I used to do that. I would photocopy the notes and hand. It's like, oh my God, so much. So just that flexibility and the power that digital things gives you. I mean, I've done things where I make a handout, I give it to period 1, shoot, question 3, too hard, didn't work. I need to give more information. During period 1, I go back to my computer, I change that, make some copies, print it out, and period 3, the next period, they have a completely different handout. Same thing for slides. I can tweak the problem. I can make 2 different versions of it for a different class. I can change it in between classes or add something, and it's just way more flexibility than what I did before, which is writing things on pieces of paper or whatever. So that's the main reason I prefer digital, and I've invested my own money and time into learning these topics. So it's helped. So most of the materials I've created from scratch, so yes, I've changed them all. Some of the stuff out of the book, again, I have changed sort of the way I'm presenting it. So in the book, I'm trying to think exactly, but it repeats itself, because the first one is draw the polygons and measure them and do all of them. I'm like, well, that's gonna take half hour. That's half my class. I can't do that. So I'm gonna break that up and give a kid 2 of them, and give another kid 2 of them, and then we'll come together and bring them all together at the end. And then I'm going to skip the second one, and then we're just going to do the triangle one. So we're kind of modifying the book to fit the time and the class a little bit better. And then my own content, I changed that yesterday. Like I will change it up until I have to make copies, and then maybe afterwards too. But much is needed. So again, it depends on the student, depends on their life. I don't know, there are certain things in the book that we try to make relevant or try to make more fun or interesting, and we'll see if it shows up again, but you'll hear them groan. We're doing the main metaphor we use in this book was grandma. So grandma has, she's retired, she's building a house, she's building the radio tower, she's building the pool, she's doing everything, right? Grandma's crazy. And the kids always groan, because like, oh, come on, grandma, enough, like, retire already. But we try to, all right, that's what's trying to, bring them into, all right, well, this is a real thing. There is a person who is helping their relative or themselves to build this thing or build this house or buy this flooring or whatever it is. So we will try to make the content at some point relate to the real world, even if it's not the kid's real world, it's someone's real world, and we try to do that. And so like I showed the bench example that I came up with. Just, all right, you're building, you're doing some carpentry, you're building a bench, and how would you find this angle? And this is a real thing that someone would need to do. So, sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not, but it kind of depends on which lesson and how far you want to take it.